All right, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like my gain's too high. I should have done all of that before I clicked the record button so that none of you fine folks would see this. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Trashed, the leading film criticism podcast uh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
in
In the metaverse
North America.
in North America.
No, I'm kicking it old school. This is a North America podcast.
Yeah, dude.
Um, although at the time you're viewing this, I'm not in North America. I'm actually at an undisclosed location. So,
Yeah, are you in San Gennard?
I'm at the San Gennaro. At the time you're watching this, I'm at the San Gennaro feast.
Okay.
But that's in September. So it's always San Gennaro in the metaverse.
Oh, that makes sense.
Once again, welcome to Let's Get Trashed. This is my wonderful friend and guest co-host Jimmy D.
How's it going?
Sleepy Cowboy TX on Instagram. Follow him. And if you're a fan or a friend of Jimmy's, and if you're a fan or friend of mine, please share this podcast and do something, help me out. Because I've decided to do this instead of open a 401k. So I think my podcast riches are my only hope at success.
I will say when I listened to a few episodes of the podcast, because I was like, oh, I need to at least listen to one before I co-host. It was kind of fun listening to a podcast about a movie that I had seen and feeling like you were almost a part of a conversation and sort of like working through it a little bit and thinking like, oh yeah, that was a silly thing that happens. I don't know. People should definitely share it.
Well, thank you.
Your insights are very funny. Yeah.
Thank you. I think you're very popular because I just was uploading. I had a nightmare of a time trying to upload a recent episode to YouTube. Not YouTube's fault. It was entirely my fault. It's a nightmare of a time being me and having to not understand as much as I don't understand. But looking through the analytics, we have a lot of views. I mean, I have dozens of views on YouTube for the episode you did, so I'm pretty sure you've got fans, Jimmy.
I hope so. I hope that I at least have a dozen, that I can bring a dozen to the table.
Yeah, I think you brought 2 dozen.
If I could bring 2 dozen, we're already killing it.
The people I know in my life that tell me they listen to it on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever. My YouTube following hasn't happened yet, which is fine. Consume it however you like. Either way, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the new A24 horror movie out in theaters currently called Men.
Absolutely insane.
Dun, dun, dun.
An insane movie.
Yeah. I saw several movies recently. I mean, I watch a ton of movies all the time, but I saw Men and I saw Top Gun like in the same week. Maybe a third one too. I might have gone to the movies another time, but I can't remember what it was. But Men was a standout. Actually, no. There is a forthcoming Top Gun episode sometime. I hope. I don't know when, but spoiler alert, it's the best movie ever. Go see it.
The people are going to want to hear that episode.
Have you seen it?
No, I have not seen it. I would like to see it.
Well,
I want to see Tom Cruise flying planes. And
see it. It rules.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I probably could do. I already spent an hour and a half on the phone convincing my mother to go see it. So I've been telling everybody it's great, but this is not about Top Gun. That is a forthcoming episode, 100% for sure. I'm going to do an episode on that. In the meantime, we're going to talk about Alex Garland's Men, which I'm unfamiliar with Alex Garland as a director. I don't know who he is. I've never seen any of his other work, I don't believe.
I don't know that I have either. And that's kind of why I like this, being able to look this shit up, because it's funny when like the funniest thing is like that. What's his goddamn name? The guy that did The Village.
Shyamalan.
Yeah, Shyamalan also wrote and directed Stuart Little. So like sometimes as a director, did you know that?
The Mouse movie?
Yeah.
I never saw that movie, but
Yeah, dude. So
I
it's
didn't know
funny
he
to
did that.
like see, okay, well this
He did
director's
one
got,
about that. He did one about that boy that does karate. Um, it was like a popular cartoon that he turned into like a movie, but everybody hated it.
okay. Oh, you're talking about Avatar. That
Okay, is
boy
that
that
what it's
did
called?
karate. Yeah, yeah, it's called Avatar.
Yeah, it's about a boy that does karate.
You're right. Yeah, dude, he does like magic karate.
There you go.
Okay, so this director did Ex Machina, and I'm still not sure if that's how you say it, but that's a great movie.
Ex
That's
Machina. Yeah,
yeah, that's the first movie that
I've never seen that movie.
it's okay. But he's got some hitters, man. It makes sense that he might have done a movie like this. He's
Okay,
actually directed apparently quite a bit.
good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Proud of you, boy.
I'm very proud of him.
So as much as I love A24, in general, I'm not a horror fan.
Same.
I'm what on the streets you might call a scaredy cat.
Cool.
No, that's not it. I'm cool and I'm tough.
Yeah.
Don't think you could fight me because I would fight you.
Yeah,
But,
you have a hard exterior.
yeah, I'm everybody that knows me knows that I'm the toughest guy in any room.
Yeah.
But what you might not know
Wear
is
like
that
a
I
leather
don't
jacket,
love,
like everywhere.
yeah, even in the summer.
Yeah, you're just like,
What you might not know about me is that I don't love horror movies in general. I like some really good ones. Obviously, I love like The Shining is probably my favorite.
sure.
I mean, it's one of the best movies ever. Plus, it's one of my favorite horror movies. I'm just not big into the genre. I think in general, a lot of horror stuff is very, I mean, not that it's supposed to be deep, but it's very shallow.
Sure.
And it's trying to elicit like some sort of reaction or something, which is great, and it does a good job. It's more theme parky.
Sure. Yeah,
I'd rather do, if your movie is like a haunted house where you just have like stuff jumping out, I get
or something. Yeah.
I understand the thrill of that, but as a film, I just don't love it. I don't go back thinking about the story of like, damn.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of that movie? Oh, when the skeleton fell from the ceiling. It's just like that's not a plot point in most of the time. So
we might be similar in that regard, actually, because I mentioned The Village earlier, but that's one that I really like that has a horror vibe to it, or even
Village.
Signs. It has some jump scares, but are you not into those? Or
I don't like. I mean, other than Sixth Sense and maybe
Dude,
Unbreakable.
When's the last time you watched The Village? It's very good.
I've never really seen it.
Okay.
I've seen enough of it to know I don't like Shyamalan in general. I think he had
his
I think
movies
he had
are
one
so
good
hit or miss.
He had there. It's miss. It's
Dude.
miss or miss. He had one big hit early on, and we keep waiting
Signs
for
or
him.
Stuart Little?
What?
Are you talking about
exactly.
Stuart Little?
Yep, you're nailing it.
Cool.
You're making my point. He came out of the gate with maybe Unbreakable was before Sixth Sense, but I don't think that many people saw Unbreakable. But Unbreakable's fine. It's an interesting like superhero thing. It's not great, but it's good. I like Unbreakable. Sixth Sense is a masterpiece, and he cursed himself by doing that first. He should have done that second.
Yeah,
but he did that first, and everybody was like, "Damn!" See, Tarantino out the gate did Reservoir Dogs, and he's been bigger and better every single time, and not in the sense that every movie he's made after that is better than Reservoir Dogs, although most of them probably are, but he's delivered and he's done something like new and crazy and everything we love. He's gotten better. After Signs, by the time The Village came out, oh my God! Did you know that they live fucking 100 yards away from I-95 in upstate New York?
Village?
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
It just once you have that as your big reveal, like, oh, this sucks.
I was totally hooked by it. I was like, whoa, I never would have saw that coming, but I'm a dummy. So maybe it was. And also, I will say.
He became the twist guy.
Well, it's the twist, yes, but the love story is what I'm really into The Village for. I thought it was like there's like some romantic situations happening that I thought were like very well placed and cool in like a horror type of situation. But I could talk about The Village for a while.
I also want to see I want to see less of Joaquin Phoenix.
What? You're wrong.
In almost every,
What?
less of him, less of less of that.
I don't think he's oversaturated. Like, what do
No,
you mean?
I just less. I don't mean there's. I don't mean he's like he's not
Doing
too much.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
less.
Okay.
Even no matter what it is, he needs to do Daniel Day-Lewis. I'll be fine if he makes a movie once every 10 years. like
Okay.
like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Joaquin Phoenix I don't know. I just don't like him. I
Okay.
can't think of a thing other than like Gladiator. I can't think of a thing
Does this?
Yeah, I mean he was
Like when he does
good.
that?
He was good as like not the main character.
Uh-huh.
Even, he was Joker was I mean the whole Joker was not great. I didn't think. And he, definitely too much of his face. But also like I don't know, he's playing the new Ridley Scott movie. He's playing Napoleon. So I got to watch this asshole for 3 fucking hours in a, with frills on his shoulder. Like I just, in a weird hat. I just don't want to do that.
Sure. Okay.
He bugs me.
Yeah. Did you see Her? You would hate that movie.
I have not seen it.
You would hate it.
I do think that's a movie I would hate.
I'm kind of a Joaquin Phoenix simp. I haven't seen everything he's
Really?
done. Oh yeah, big time. But I feel like when there's some actors that really like draw me in and like really really like make the character like not the actor somehow, and I feel like he's really good at that. But
Yeah, I'm not
maybe
even
that's
saying
just bad, like a bad role
I don't know. I just don't. You know
choice
what?
or something. I don't know.
Do you ever just meet somebody and you instantly don't like them because of their face?
Is it because he has a
No,
cleft
it's not
ankle?
that. It's not that.
That's why you don't like
It's not
him.
that. It's
Yeah,
not
that's what
that.
it is.
Listeners, it's not that. It's not what Jimmy said.
I'm gonna cancel you, dude.
That's fucked up. I would never not like somebody for that reason.
Yeah.
Although
You think he should be a villain?
although it doesn't help. He should be a villain.
Yeah, you think he should be a villain? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about him that's just too.
I mean, that's enough. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. What's an actor that's in most things that you are like, I can't wait to see this. He's usually good.
Oh, I've got 2. I longtime listeners of this podcast will know that your boy Nikki Taz. I don't know the difference. I don't know enough about stocks to know which one. I don't know if bear is good or bull is good, but whatever. I'm buying stock in Timothy Chalamet.
Oh yeah. You do
This fucking kid makes baller. He makes great movies. He makes great decisions, and he's great in every one. He's the new Leonardo DiCaprio, who DiCaprio is good in everything. Maybe not even amazing in everything, but he's good in everything. He's different, and he only makes movies that are good.
Sure.
DiCaprio has not, to my knowledge, there's a couple I haven't seen, but DiCaprio has not made one piece of shit yet. I just watched
absolute dog shit. Yeah.
I just watched Blood Diamond, and people hate DiCaprio in Blood Diamond because they don't like his Rhodesian accent.
Okay.
But I thought it was fine because I don't know a single Rhodesian, so I don't have anything to compare it to.
Neither do I.
Yeah, so I thought he was great, and he's awesome, and the movie is awesome. The movie is so good. So DiCaprio's a dude that thus far DiCaprio's never put a cape on.
Yeah.
He's never put a cape on. He's only making good shit. So far, I haven't seen a single Timothy Chalamet film that wasn't like, this kid is awesome.
Yeah.
And this movie's really good. Like, he only wants to do good stuff. Even the blockbusters he does. Dune, longtime listeners have heard this all
Dune
before.
was great. Yeah.
Dune is not, Dune is a big sci-fi epic. It's certainly not like, certainly not Lady Bird or Rainy Day in New York. It's certainly not some like drama or comedy or anything like that, where he really
Sure.
has a chance to act. But as a sci-fi epic, it's beautiful, it's well done, it's intentional, and he's great in it. And the movie's really good. So that's almost like a thing of, if he's doing it, I'll trust that it's good.
Yeah.
Because I think he's trying to only be in shit that matters. Because he could do, Leonardo DiCaprio could have been Matthew McConaughey.
With the whole romantic
He could have made $15 million a movie, being the generation below McConaughey of the hottest guy in Hollywood, making sexy movies with whoever his contemporaries were. Both of the Jessicas and whoever else is like, whoever else is his age. But he didn't. He turned all that down and he made like artistic stuff, even if it was popular.
I fuck with that.
Yeah. I don't know. Joaquin Phoenix to me is too much like Sean Penn.
Like he's crazy?
Like, yeah, he's crazy.
I think that's why I like him. Like he seems like insane. Like if you were his friend, like he would have weird quirks and kind of be mean to you at times that would confuse you, but you'd still be his friend for some reason. Like he seems like that kind of crazy. Like he would have like he'd be mean to waiters, but only like 1 out of 3 times. Like just kind of hard
That's
to predict.
So funny. He seems like
you know what I mean?
Mean to waiters. That's actually, yeah. I do. You know what? Yeah, Jimmy, I know exactly what you mean.
He's just a little crazy.
Everybody listening knows exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
that's a great. That really hits. Joaquin Phoenix is not in this movie. He's nowhere near this movie.
Yeah,
he's nowhere. By this movie, I mean Alex Garland's Men, distributed by A24, starring a lovely, talented young woman named Jessie Buckley as our lead.
Love that name.
Yeah, she was very good. She was very good in the movie.
She was great.
Jessie Buckley. And then Rory Kinnear is our male lead.
Huge fucking fan of this guy.
Because of this film?
No. Actually, I saw him
in general.
In general. Huge fan of this guy. He's on the up and up, dude. For me.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. You know what's funny? I watched this movie with Rory Kinnear, and that made me think of Greg Kinnear. They're not related.
Yeah.
But I went to go watch, I came home and watched Ghost Town for like the 100th time with Greg Kinnear.
Ghost Town.
That's a really good movie.
Okay,
Mom,
good.
watch Ghost Town. You'll like it.
Mom, watch Ghost Town.
Anyway, so Jessie Buckley playing Harper, she got herself an Airbnb out in the country.
Yep.
She rented herself a nice little Airbnb out in the British countryside. She's gonna get away from it all, take a weekend. This is a self-care weekend. Go, girl, because she's had a rough time. So she's going out to take care of herself. She's had a rough time, as we see in intermittent flashbacks. We see she's had a rough time because while her and her husband were arguing and fighting about getting a divorce, during the middle of this argument, he committed suicide.
Yeah.
Her husband, James.
And this is revealed pretty early on, so I don't think that's like a spoiler or anything.
No, this is in the trailer.
Yeah, that's just kind of
this is in the trailer. This is not a spoiler. So James commits suicide, even though Harper was soon to divorce him. Obviously, she still didn't want him to kill himself. And it's naturally, as you would assume, it was a very traumatizing experience, and nothing heals a traumatizing experience like a good weekend in the country.
And, yeah, an Airbnb alone in the country.
Yeah, Airbnb. And tell you what, Airbnb, if you're listening, I'll go back and I'll re-edit all of this I'll overdub my voice saying VRBO if you pay me $10,000.
That's doable. That's a reasonable sum.
You pay me $10,000, I'm going to re-edit this all to say VRBO. But until you do that, I'm saying Airbnb.
Yeah.
And the same offer applies to VRBO, but I doubt you even have $10,000 fucking dollars. So
our loyalty can be bought.
Yeah. I'll re-edit this to say whatever you want. I'll say, I'll change it to your ex's house if you give me $100.
Disney gives you $1 million, and you have to promote every movie. You have to promote it at least 5 times, 5 30-second snippets, 2 per episode.
Disney pays me to bring them up every episode.
Yeah, twice.
They didn't specify if I'm supposed.
No, they do. Clearly, they will.
Well,
you would do
either
it.
way.
1 million.
That check's in the mail. I've been told.
Okay. Anyways, okay, yeah.
Harper's out in the country. Mm-hmm. She pulls up to her lovely English countryside estate. She meets the eccentric owner, Jeffrey, spelled the dumbest way with a G. If you're listening to this and your name is Jeffrey with a G, go to the courthouse and change it right now.
Yeah,
we're done. We're not doing this, and that applies to Jeffrey Rush as well. If you're listening to this, and I know that you are, Jeffrey Rush, you have to change your name and you have to make a PSA telling everybody else we're stopping this nonsense. But nevertheless, Rory Kinnear plays Jeffrey with a G, who is he
plays everybody.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the big reveal.
He's the introduction of Rory Kinnear, if that's how you say his last name, is as the hostess of this Airbnb, who's kind of quirky and strange.
Yeah, weird country guy.
Yeah,
gives you kind of creepy vibes, but whatever. Yeah, and so we will. I guess we'll kind of. Well, I guess we don't have to get into. There's not much to spoil because I think I guess the big spoiler is that. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
I think the themes are really what I want to talk about.
All right,
at some point.
Then we'll do a quick thing, but so she's settling in. She decides to take. She's enjoying the solitude. She does a little bit of work on her laptop. She's hanging out. She plays a little on the piano. She distinctly tells Jeffrey, the caretaker, that she can't play piano, and then we see her a few scenes later, very competently playing the piano. And they did not explain why.
I kind of was getting the gist that her, or that she didn't want to be bothered. Like, because it's almost like one of those things that, like, oh, you should play something for me.
That's a good point.
Like her interactions were with Jeffrey, like, okay, I guess I'll do the tour with you. Okay, I guess you can give me all the rules and stuff. And then she's like, okay, I'll see you later. Like, peace. Like, she's ready for alone time.
I agree. I think that's exactly what it was. She didn't want that question of, oh, can I hear you play a song?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure if that was it, but that's what I was thinking, which actually is a really kind of a good sign in a movie that it's like
just subtle and like
it's a subtle. Yeah, it's not hitting you over the head. She's not sitting at the piano being like, thank God he's not here to hear this. It's not obvious, but it is like a human thing. We've all had that interaction with somebody where we walk away being like, they clearly just wanted me to leave.
Yeah, that's fine.
I probably have that. I probably have that more than you do.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Anyways.
Nevertheless.
I do play piano badly, and I will play for anybody that wants to hear it.
Oh, I play piano very poorly too.
Great.
But I play it a lot.
The comment section's about to fire off, dude.
Yeah, fire off some comments. If you're listening to this,
type in the comment section, come play piano for me at my house.
You don't understand. I've gotten one comment ever, and it was from my brother.
Me?
No, it was... Did you comment?
I don't know. I think I liked one of your videos.
I don't think you did. Yeah, I've gotten some likes. But the only comment ever I never responded to, but I do... It was my brother, and he was pointing out...
go fuck yourself.
No. He was actually... It was our Batman episode. I was making fun of Zoe Kravitz putting on the Catwoman mask and licking milk.
That is pretty insane.
Yeah, it's a funny clip on that episode too, even with this bad audio. But my brother's comments like, by the way, cats are lactose intolerant. That's like a myth that you're supposed to give milk to cats.
I've been doing that for years.
Yeah, don't do that.
Gatorade and milk.
Oh yeah, well I don't know about Gatorade. I'm sure that's fine, but milk is apparently
fine.
really bad for them. Thanks. Shout out Mike Tazzo. Anyway, sticking to the point. So
cat facts from Mike Tazzo.
Sticking to the point, Harper starts to just explore the area, hang out. She goes into
She goes on a walk.
Yeah, she goes on a walk, abandoned tunnel kind of thing, abandoned like underpass, and she's hanging out. She's shouting and hanging out with the echoes and singing some notes.
She's vibing. She's feeling good.
She's chilling.
It's like I'm in nature. You can tell the theme or the mood that I was gathering is like, oh man, she's really getting a release. She's getting that kind of reprise of like, man, I'm glad I did this, kind of thing.
Yeah. The weekend in the country is working. It's working big time.
It's the 14 minutes before the shit kicks off.
Yeah, it's going exactly how it's supposed to go until Act 2 hits.
Yeah.
And then, as she's in the thing shouting, a man stands up. She sees the silhouette. Again, she's in a tunnel. Mm-hmm. So at the other end of the tunnel, she sees the silhouette of a man stand up, and he starts obviously walking towards her. And she's like, oh, shit, never mind. I'm going to just walk away. And then it becomes more aggressive, and he starts running towards her. And she starts running. She's panicking. She's not 100% sure where she is. She gets a little lost. She eventually makes her way to like an open field and then back to her Airbnb. Unless I get paid a bunch of money, in which case you just heard me say VRBO. And then, meanwhile, this guy is like naked and all covered in scars and whatever, and gross and following her.
Well, the interesting thing about her, like the tunnel scene, was the tunnel's open and she's down doing the echo thing. She gets scared, runs around, gets lost, somehow makes her way back to the tunnel, and it's completely walled up.
No, that's not.
Is that not the same thing?
No, she ran past. No, that was a different tunnel. She ran past her. So this whole scene takes place. The reason there's these tunnels is because it's like a dried up riverbed.
Okay,
that's kind of what it is, and so we see her make her ingress into the riverbed through like this little path.
Gotcha.
It's definitely a path, but it's not super obvious. And so she makes her way down, and then she walks south down the riverbed.
Probably not an important detail.
Anyway, she misses it. She misses it. She misses her path, her egress. She misses her path back up because she's unfamiliar. She's running past it, panicking. And then eventually she gets to another brick structure that looks like a tunnel that's been blocked in. But that wasn't like the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that supernatural. At least at that point, I don't think.
Because that to me, I was thinking like, oh fuck, anything is possible now. Like I thought she had made her way back. Anyways, I don't want to. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. So anyway, later on, she's panicked. She's catching her breath. She's back home. Thinks she's safe. She looks out her window, and this naked, homeless dude, covered in scars and open sores, has followed her all the way to her residence. Mm-hmm. And she is panicking. She locks all the doors, calls the constabulary. She calls the police. Whatever. She calls the bobbies. They're in England, so I don't even know what
they can't even do anything.
Called. And they come in and grab him. At this point in the film, we start to realize that the two police that show up, one of them's a man, one's a woman, and then we finally get a good look at the face of this assailant. Mm-hmm. They all kind of have Jeffrey face.
Yeah. Jeffrey.
Now, they all kind of look like Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I am watching this going like, yeah, I understand. Every British dude looks the same.
That was your thought?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I get it. They're
British
all
people.
Yeah, it's just British
people.
Yeah, it's just the English, and also I'm feeling bad because like I'm not getting the full scope of this film that I should be, because I
Okay.
just don't feel. I don't. They should have made these characters not British. They should have done this anywhere else in the world, because I just don't feel sympathy for British people.
Okay.
I don't care.
Because we beat them, and so you're
Not
like,
even that.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, not even. It's just I don't know. Your voice.
Yeah,
Fix
it's
the way.
too cute.
Fix the way you talk.
It's too cute in country. Is that why?
I don't know. It's not even. It's not. It's just something. It's like, ugh. I just don't care. These
Yeah.
are British people.
What about
problems.
Harper's voice? Because Harper had like a really interesting. I actually loved her accent in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. But it's like English, but kind of like, I don't know. It seemed very distinct English. I don't know. Obviously, there's tons of different regions and dialects.
Yeah, there's a ton. But again, I'm just like.
But her specifically, I thought was very charming.
I'm just wondering, like, yeah, you're British. Like, who cares?
Okay.
Sorry, Governor. Sounds like you guys have your own problems to deal with. I'm in America. I don't have time to be worrying about what you're going through.
Yeah.
Harry Potter lives in a closet. Good. But at this point in the film, I am like really enjoying it. Especially, I do like this.
What are you enjoying about it? The pacing of it.
I like daytime horror stuff. I thought Midsummer. I thought Ari Aster's Midsummer was really good.
Sure.
And then the fact that the beginning of this movie was like creepy and weird, but broad daylight. She's going for a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
Broad daylight. I love that kind of thing. I love that. I guess it's a juxtaposition of our.
I didn't think about that, but yeah,
our sunny atmosphere and our bright daytime atmosphere with these scary, poetically dark situations that we're finding ourselves in. I think that kind of stuff is fascinating, which is why Midsummer's great. Which is why
I've not seen it, but I believe you.
Midsummer's a great film. That's one of the few horror films I love, because of the whole thing. The whole thing happens in like Sweden in the daytime. It's crazy, and it's just.
And
wild.
You don't like Swedish people either. I've heard you say.
Yeah, well, that's because my ex-girlfriend made me buy a bunch of shit at IKEA and build it.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
It's on site.
Lot.
It's on site, Sweden.
Yeah,
and you better not be from Finland, because I don't know the difference. So you better back the fuck off as well.
And I don't want to know the difference.
Yeah, Norway, Finland. I'm coming for every single one of you, because I don't know the difference.
Yeah, let's create as many enemies as possible.
Yeah. This is an anti-Scandinavia podcast.
Our only 24 listeners or whatever.
Yeah. Except for the Northman. If you're one of the if you're in the Northman,
buff dude.
If you're in the Northman, you're cool.
Yeah.
Watch that episode. Go back to the Northman episode. Shout out Mauro Lopez, my co-host on that one.
So everybody, I gathered this from the trailer. It's already kind of like an obvious thing, but Rory Kinnear is playing all of the men.
Yes. So that is so now I guess we'll get into like spoilers. Right now we've seen that of the two male characters, other than her ex-husband, who we've seen in flashbacks, who killed himself. Every other male character we see is played by Rory Kinnear. It's obviously a different version. It's not. They're not all named Jeffrey, but we have Jeffrey, the Airbnb host. We have open sore
homeless man,
homeless sprinter guy. We have disinterested police officer who's not taking her, not taking her seriously, as we see later. Whatever. The cops come and arrest this guy. She's doing fine. She makes it. She lasts through the night. The next day, she walks to the other local tourist attraction, an old church or cathedral or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that scene of her walking around the church and hanging out and meeting? Before, did anything strike you before she meets the vicar or the priest or whatever he's called?
Nothing particularly struck me, although now I'm thinking, why are you still in this town? Why are you still at this place, right? That feeling is kind of settling in, which I'm sure is designed.
Yeah. Well, that's, what? It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
That she doesn't.
Yeah,
she thinks she had a weird afternoon with a weird guy.
Yeah,
at
and
this
because she
point.
calls her friend, and her friend's like, "You should leave," and she's like,
Yeah,
"No, I'm
or
here."
her friend was like, "Let me come up there and hang out," and she shouldn't have
Yeah,
said yes. Honestly, I mean, hold on. This is not.
here we go.
I am a
Hot
dinosaur, but this is
take.
not a victim blaming podcast. She should not have said yes if she didn't want her friend to come up there. But it wasn't crazy to be like, you know what? Yeah, come hang out with me. You know, that would have been it was a nice gesture from her friend.
Sure,
She
she's
and then
communicating with someone, so there's
she
reason.
does have somebody in her life, yeah, that
Yeah,
she's like
there's
can go through
reason
this
in
with.
this movie, or because it's not just like insane. She's talking, she's communicating, she has correspondence with her friend. She's letting her know what's going on, and as an audience member, you're like, "This is a fucking horror movie." And her correspondence with her friend is like, "No, this is reasonable. It's fine. It was just a homeless guy. I called the cops. Everything's fine. I'm going to stay."
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Right. The main character, Harper, almost grounds us in love because we're all shaken
Yeah.
up by this crazy
Yeah.
thing. But she's the one that
Just
explains to the audience, like, oh, you know, I saw a homeless guy on my walk and he kind of spazzed out and followed me but whatever, it's all over now. The cops have got him. Here's the thing that I took a note. I took a note in the theater of this one scene. She goes into this church. It's empty. She doesn't see a man kind of walking around to the side, giving her some distance. That's fine. But anyway, she sits down and she just kind of gets overwhelmed with emotion, and she starts like crying.
Yeah.
And then
Wailing.
her cries turn into wailing and like weeping and wailing and stuff like that. And the music at this time is ramping up in intensity and obviously getting very tense.
Yep.
And she wails, and she starts like she's sobbing loudly and she's wailing, and then the music matches pitch with her. And then the whole horn section there's this big crescendo of her voice and then the entire orchestra like exploding together in this wail. It's incredible sound design from whoever this composer is and whoever was like the sound editor to match these things up. It worked so well that her voice gets drowned out by an orchestra playing the same note. That was a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah,
I thought
that's awesome.
So, after that, she has that cathartic release moment. She kind of steps outside, runs into a young man, child, who's not being chill.
Yeah. Creepy mask. Little boy is behind the mask. Obviously.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he had a plastic, like, blonde
clown
woman mask on.
Something, or some kind of mask. Very, very weird. And you're like, oh, what the fuck is about to go down here? And he's like kind of being a little cocksucker. And then he takes off the mask, and then you see, some whatever fucking CGI deepfake of Roy Kinnear's face on him. Boy.
Yeah, that was
probably the only time of the movie I was kind of taken outside the movie just because it wasn't 100% probably a good deepfake.
It was very bad. It was bad
wasn't
CGI.
Great.
It was a bad.
It wasn't great.
Yeah. So again, it's clear that they are really driving home the fact that they're driving home the fact that every man in this town is Roy Kinnear. Obviously, playing on the overall, or they're now playing on the theme or driving at the theme that all men are the same.
That's the theme. That has to be the theme.
That's what we're learning from this film is that all men are the same.
Sure.
Whether it's the kindly yet eccentric, Airbnb host, or a disaffected police officer, or a psychopathic, homeless guy, or a little boy who's just being rude to a woman.
And she doesn't acknowledge that all the people look alike, but
no,
the audience is acknowledging that, oh, all these men are the same, or all these male figures are the same person.
Right. It's for us. It's not right.
Yeah,
she doesn't.
She doesn't acknowledge it at all. Harper does not acknowledge this.
Yeah.
Or notice it.
So that's our, that's our theme.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, men are all the same. Oh, you men are all the same.
Yeah.
The same theme I imagine they had in the Sex and the City movie. I don't know what they're about, but I imagine those women are sitting around being like, Men are all the same, and all you have to do is blah 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 blah
They
blah.
never put the toilet seat
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
That would have been funny. That would have been funnier as like a supposed horror movie of it's just a bunch of she's just in a bunch of public restrooms and dudes never put the toilet seat down.
She's
And
like,
then
men are the same.
yeah, then walking out of like Cinemark, every woman is like crying and like shaken up because of how terrible it was, and every dude doesn't understand the film.
I don't get it. I don't
Like,
get it at all.
like, what's the big deal? And then every women are just huddling in the lobby of their Cineplex, being like, "Oh my god, that was so terrifying."
Fuck this. That was scary. But somehow, just to move a little forward, I guess, that isn't like the only theme. That's like
That's the kind of shallow,
Um,
kind of cheesy theme. If
sure.
we're being honest, it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
cheesy.
well, also that like in a way too, a guy wrote like kind of directed the movie too. Like a guy did. So in my head,
Yeah.
when I found that out, I was like, shouldn't like a woman write this movie? If it's like a
If you, I mean, so what you are getting at, the point you're getting at, is actually a very common criticism, I've
Sure.
seen of this film.
It's maybe it's
by
not obvious criticism. Maybe not even. I'm not even really criticizing that too
Right.
much, but it's just like kind of obvious and just right there.
well, that's a thing of I've seen that a lot from I don't know I've seen that a lot as a person who's on Twitter, which by the way we should all not be there. It sucks. You interact with the worst people, and those people say, oh, this movie's so sexist. Like it's just a man doing his perspective of what he thinks it's like to be a woman. It's like, I don't know, she's not a regular woman. This is a woman going through like a tough time.
Sure.
It's not about women. It's about this lady who's having a week. That's why it's the horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't think she's indicative of all women.
I mean, she took the role, right? I mean,
Well-
it's not like it's
And all the men played by Rory Kinnear obviously they're supposed to be indicative of all men, but I don't know. I dismiss anybody with the accusations that this should have been directed or this part should have been played by
Sure.
somebody else because they fit that demographic and that's more important to you. I don't believe in any of that.
Sure.
If you believe in like if you're a person who believes in humanity and like that humans have anything in common with each other, then you would easily recognize that it's totally fine. We can be empathetic. People can be empathetic and understand what someone else is going through.
Yeah.
And then act on that. So I don't know. I hate that criticism. I think it's such a baby.
It's maybe too easy, but it did cross my mind. It did cross my mind a little bit. Almost as like a virtue. What do they call it? Virtue signaling or whatever. From maybe the director. Like, how cool is it that I wrote a movie about, like men are bad.
Oh, that's funny. I don't know. You know what? That's very possible. I don't know anything about this guy. You know what?
Well, I don't either. And honestly,
if Alex Garland wrote this movie to get pussy, props, dude.
That's the ultimate man move.
1,000%. If just be a dude that makes these kind of movies, like art, to get NYU art girls to fuck you,
yeah,
because you're like I'm doing feminist horror dramas about how evil men are. If you can get some girl with a fucking back tattoo and a thick ass ear piercing to suck your dick out of it, fucking go ahead, man. All power to you. That I respect 100 times more than taking the shit seriously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's other themes too in the movie. Obviously, that's like we're saying, that's like maybe one of the more shallow themes, because there's like sort of a pattern. She's kind of meeting other people too in the town that are also Roy Kinnear.
Yeah, the bar. Well, let's
he's
talk
bar
about
back.
that. Let's talk about before we get to the bar, and where the bartender is Rory Kinnear, and then the two guys playing cards in the corner, background actors are also Rory Kinnear. Before we get to that part, let's talk about her interaction with the vicar.
Is that the minister?
Yeah, that's the priest or whatever. They call him vicar in England.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a priest because he's not Catholic. He's probably Episcopalian because it's England. But so he's a pastor, whatever it is.
He's a minister figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, not funny, but that's the very nail on the head kind of thing to be like, she's going, she opens up to him. He starts off as a sympathetic figure, and she opens up to him.
Guy. Yeah.
Well, you don't even know that much, but
I assume
he gets a free pass right off the bat because of the fucking caller. And he's calling her, my daughter or whatever. He's my child. Please, I heard you screaming in the church. I didn't want to intrude upon your moment, but if you'd like to talk to me, I'm glad to help. And you get a lot of upfront points for wearing the fucking priest costume.
Yep.
So they sit down together and start talking. And it quickly turns to
making out.
Yeah, and then they're just in the rectory, just banging. Her face is in a pile of vestments and rosary beads.
Sorry,
that's not what happens, folks. Sorry, Jimmy and I watched a different cut of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the conversation starts to seemingly go well. Maybe
again, it starts off fine.
Yeah.
And then she's telling him about her recent troubles. Yeah, my husband killed himself. Blah blah blah. And I've just been feeling torn up because we were in the middle of a fight and all this kind of stuff. And even though we said some horrible things to each other, it's certainly not my fault that he did that. But he goes, "Well, it is a little bit of your fault."
It's specifically that he hit her. There's a flashback of him hitting her, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the priest figure is saying, "Well, did you give him a chance to apologize?"
Yeah, he hits her. This is all spoilers, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
He hits her, and then she kicks him out of the house, out of the apartment. It's like, "Fuck, this is crazy. You've never done this. Is insane." And she was right to do all this. And then she's looking out her window while she's crying, and her nose is bleeding, and her eyes all busted up or whatever. And then she sees him falling in front of her.
Yeah.
Which is actually a well done scene. I wish the trailer hadn't shown us that.
Yeah.
Because the trailer showed us them making eye contact as he's falling through the sky, which I didn't care for. That could have been a cool reveal in the film.
Yeah,
that could have been a fun
early reveal. Yeah.
Trailers are spoiling too much. I have a whole thing about this on another episode you and I are soon to record.
Sure.
About how the trailer ruined that movie fucking top to bottom. But
yeah,
this one I don't think the trailer did the film justice by showing us that moment. Nevertheless, anyway, Priest is like, you didn't give him a chance to apologize. Priest is like,
you're in the wrong.
Do you think you think you drove him to suicide? She's
yeah,
like,
that's what he's implying, pretty much.
Well, no, he says it outright.
Yeah.
He's like, you must think you drove him to it. But she is very reasonable, and she goes, no, that never crossed my mind for a second. She's modern. It's almost, that's the thing is, she's 21st century, and every dude is like 19th century almost. That's the disparity between these men characters.
No,
you're
right.
The priest is like, you must have driven into it, and she goes, you must feel like you drove him to it. And she's like, the fuck? No, I don't feel that way at all.
Yes.
That never crossed my mind until you said that dinosaur shit that nobody would even think now.
Yes.
So that's which again, that's an easy way to make this dude obviously quickly a bad guy. It doesn't help that he already has Jeffrey's face.
Yeah.
And we're getting that theme pretty big. So I don't know. And anyway, after that, she goes to the bar. Everybody's the same. At the bar, she finds out the police let the homeless guy go, and that's what really freaks her out.
Yeah, which
again,
is reasonable.
everybody's being pretty reasonable. I understand why she's uncomfortable, but the police officer with Jeffrey's face, Roy Kinnear's face, is going, well, ma'am, he was pretty docile when we arrested him. I mean, we understand he followed you back, or you think he followed you. We understand he was in your yard when he wasn't supposed to be. That's all we saw.
Yeah,
we didn't see him follow you through the woods like he says, like you say he did.
Yeah.
He's crazy. He might not have even seen you. We have no way of knowing that he just followed you. All we see is that he was just hanging out in your yard, which obviously he's not supposed to do. We agree with you on that. But he was pretty calm and out of his mind. We handcuffed him, took him away, but we can't throw him in the fucking gulag. Like, what are we supposed to do with him?
Sure. He's kind of a cock about it, though. I think the point is that, like, the woman is to blame because she's a woman. Because even his, like,
well,
right.
This particular moment is that we don't take the concerns of women seriously.
Yeah.
That's the criticism there. Is that a woman says, this guy's been following me. He saw me here. He saw me there. And then he came to my house, and the police officer's like, look, he was out of his mind. I'm not even sure he saw you at all. That's how crazy this guy is. You probably don't have to worry. He minimized. Again, I don't think he's being unreasonable by thinking that, but the idea, the core concept is that people in power, men don't take the concerns of women seriously.
Sure. Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know if that's true. I've heard women say that, but I haven't really been paying attention, so I don't know.
I'm sure it's true. It's true.
No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. I take the concerns of women seriously.
Yeah. When women say, "You concern me,"
yeah, I know.
I say I take that seriously.
When people say, "I'm very concerned about the way you talk about yourself,"
yeah.
I was like, I take that. I'm taking you seriously.
I'm taking you seriously right now. Yeah. Okay. So that becomes obvious.
So that's a theme. Again, the whole theme is just
men bad.
Men versus women.
Men kind of. Yeah.
Men versus women. It's the age old. That's the other thing is, I don't think there's a solution to that. That's how much of not a dinosaur I am. Although it's like, are we gonna solve? Are men and women ever gonna think the same way? Are we supposed to? I don't think that's I don't think that. While we can definitely strive for more empathetic relations between those two groups, I don't think we're ever getting to a point where men and women universally agree on things.
Yeah.
Is that the goal? If that's the goal, director Alex Garland, I mean, if that's his motto, then he definitely made this movie for pussy, because there's no way you can actually think that.
I mean, it seemed just like a hard exposure of maybe how women often aren't maybe taking seriously. Possibly, maybe that was the intent of it. I mean, there's no real clear.
Yeah, well, it's clearly what it's about. And again, I don't think that's. I'm joking. I'm
sure.
This is a silly podcast, folks, but I don't think that it's. Yeah, I think it's. I thought it was a good movie. I think it's a good movie. I liked it. And it was interesting, especially the first 3/4 of it. We're about to get into the last act, or the last quarter, which I personally didn't like or understand, but I also haven't talked through it yet.
I don't understand it either. But,
okay,
I
haven't. Maybe I'll have a revelation as you and I talk through it.
It was the first movie. I hope so. I hope I do too. It was one of the first movies in a while where I was like, I think I gotta look some stuff up because I don't really understand what the fuck was going on at the end. I kind of listened to, honestly, some feedback or maybe some opinions or ideas, and I don't really like that in a movie personally. I'm not really an open-ended type of guy when it comes to like expression and art and expression sometimes, because it was just genuinely abstract at the end. And I mean, there were some things that were pretty obvious, but yeah, let's see.
I'm a fan. I do like open-ended stuff. I do like, especially stuff that's like, what happened?
Yeah.
You get to speculate. I genuinely like that when they leave it up to the audience.
Cool.
Let me decide what happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after her count at the bar, she goes back to her Airbnb. She's having a rough time. She finally agrees to let her friend come. Her friends, they're on FaceTime. The friend's like, "Let me come hang out." Also, part of the spectralness, the one like kind of supernatural artifact in this whole film, is that every time she's on FaceTime with her lady friend,
yeah,
it's the screen is like bubbling or whatever, and it's a man. It's an angry man.
Scary image.
Yeah. Scare. It's mean man. Scary face is kind of popping up, interspersed throughout her conversation. That's weird, but I don't know what that was supposed to be. That's not the only. I said that's the only supernatural fact. I apologize. We're about to get into nothing but weird supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, one thing that I really love, as far as the thing that made the priest or the vicar most creepy, even more so than his sexist and condescending tone that he took with this woman while she's trying to explain her problems.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing about him is the way he put on chapstick. That's a clear sign that he's a piece of shit.
Psychopath.
Folks.
Yeah.
Creepy chapstick application. This guy is garbage.
Yeah.
This priest is a goddamn asshole.
I think I blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah, no, I took the note down because the second I saw him put chapstick on in a
you're just furiously writing in the theater.
A disgusting way.
Chapstick scene.
Yeah, I wrote creepy chapstick. That's all I have.
Yeah. And you're just fixated on that for the rest of the movie.
That's the worst thing about him.
Yeah.
Telling a grieving widow that she drove her husband to suicide is number 2 on things I don't like about this man.
Yeah. Real piece of shit. 100%.
Maybe men are all the same. Maybe we don't take the concerns of women seriously.
Oh God! Now here's our realization moment. We're like, wait a minute.
This is folks. This is a podcast of self-discovery.
Yeah.
This is everybody knows. Everybody knows this is a self-discovery podcast. So before we move on, here's another theme that's like that I wrote down is obviously, what if men were all the same? What if none of the men in power took the concerns of women seriously?
Sure.
Here's the other theme is, what if a woman was hot? What if a woman was so hot that just every man in town went crazy and had to be
I'm
weird around her?
attracted to her.
Yeah,
I gotta be insane now.
What if a woman was so hot, parentheses, by English standards, in parentheses, that every man in the village had to just go nuts? And
is she an English 10?
Yeah, she's an England 10.
Yeah.
Lady, stay in England or move to fucking Saudi Arabia or something. I don't know, but don't come to LA, because that number's
no one's
plummeting.
going to take your concerns seriously in LA.
Yeah, you're an English 10 and nobody cares what you have to say. Do not come to America because you're in deep shit.
You're in deep shit.
That's very mean.
Oh, you think everybody looks the same in England?
I feel bad. I feel bad at how mean that was, but that's so
we
funny.
said it. There's a levity because the next
it's
part
funny.
of this shit
Look,
gets pretty wild. Yeah.
I could never get an English 10 in a million years. So that's
well, I can't wait to get into the next part because
all right, let's get into it. You lead us there because I'm
gonna lead us there because I've been waiting to tell you this. So some shit's going down. She goes home from the bar and shit seems to, I don't want to get into every specific detail, but just chaos ensues. And essentially all these men from the town are trying to get in.
This is big spoilers, folks.
And big spoilers.
You know
why it's like, if you haven't seen it,
well, I guess we'll do it at the end, but do you recommend this movie? Should people see this movie? Are you thumbs up, thumbs down? How do you want to talk?
I think I'm thumbs up. I'm mostly thumbs up on this movie.
So
yeah, if the trailer has piqued your interest, I would say go see it. There's some very grotesque things that happen in this movie.
The end of the movie,
Very, very, very grotesque.
But
so if you're queasy, maybe don't watch it.
Queasy is a good word. Here's what I'm going to say. I like the movie. I'm not a big fan of horror stuff.
Sure.
I probably won't watch it again. I'm not going to advocate for this movie.
Yeah.
But it's an hour 40 runtime.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Which I love.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of. I believe that every movie should fit on a single VHS except for The Godfather, which should have 2.
Yeah.
But movies are too long. This one's an hour 40, which is 10 minutes away. It's 10 minutes too long. The perfect runtime is 90 minutes, but hour 40 is in this day and age, I'll take it.
It felt great. It felt like a good amount of time.
It felt perfect. It was very well structured, very well paced.
Absolutely.
I like it. It's if you're a horror fan of any kind, absolutely go watch this. If you're into like gender studies or gender relations or any of that kind of, if you're a girl, you'll like it.
if you hate men, if you despise men and want to hate them more, you should watch this movie. I kind of already hate men, but I love falling in love with certain men.
What?
And
just go back to our Joaquin Phoenix talk at the beginning.
We're going back to our Joaquin Phoenix talks.
That's why you love Joaquin Phoenix.
I love him.
You're in love with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love guys that are distinct.
I'm gonna cut that. I love guys.
That shit. I love men. Yeah. I love men, not the movie.
There we go. I got a solid clip that I can cut. And,
play it, baby.
Anyway, so we're at the anyways. Yeah. What if a woman was hot and every man in the town went insane? So now we're at the final act. It's chaos, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
She's run over her landlord or her Airbnb host. He's not dead. The homeless guy is attacking. He turns into now we get into the really gory horror stuff.
Yes.
Which for a time, here's a I don't know if it's a criticism, but here's a something I noticed about the film is that it goes from being we have at the beginning of this whole ending scene, it's very scary and very intense, and then it becomes very slow and kind of weird and gross, but not scary at all anymore. Not intended to be scary.
Like what part?
So
are you talking about?
When the guy's reaching his hand through the mail slot, and she stabs him in the forearm,
and then he fucking
cuts all. And he pulls his hand out and cuts all the way through his hand.
Yep,
it's still scary and frightening, and like there's all these fast paced scenes of that.
Yes. So at that moment, that's what I was waiting for. At that very moment that you're talking about, it was me, a friend of mine, and 2 other people in the theater only. Those 2 people walked out.
Really?
Absolutely.
All right.
Like at that part, the other people were like, fuck this. And they walked the fuck out. Like very quickly.
Okay.
So to me, that's
good
a gauge.
For Alex Garland. Good for you, director, for making something fucked up.
It was pretty fucked up. I mean, I don't watch a lot of horror, but it was pretty like, oh, this is very uncomfortable. And that was just the beginning. I mean, that was just like a taste, because at this point, there's no apologies. There's no reason. There's that moment in horror where you're like, nothing matters. There's no bringing you back to ground. Like shit's just about to hit the fan.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
So, and after that, the guy gets in the house. Every version she sees Jeffrey again. She sees the police officer again. Yeah. They are all cut down the middle of their forearm.
Yeah.
Because again, she cuts one of them, she cuts them all because they're all the same. And so
it's also the same injury that her possibly suicidal ex or deceased ex had. His injuries are matching the themes of all the injuries of these men, right? Did you notice that?
No, what happened? What happened to his forearm?
Oh, dude. Okay, so when he
He
fell,
punched her in the face too hard, and it. Oh
remember? So the spiked. So maybe you had missed that, but the spike.
no,
He
you're
landed on the
right.
spikes, and his arm was cut in two. So and during we're skipping a little bit ahead. The pregnancy scene where they keep breaking their right leg, his right foot was broken from the jump. So all of their injuries are matching the same injuries that her deceased husband had.
You know what? I want to say that I understood that, but I don't know if I did at the moment. If I
Sure.
did, I forgot about it.
Sure.
I'm gonna say I didn't get that, but you're absolutely right. So he jumps off the balcony above their apartment, and his hand lands on a spike. What kind of gate is that?
It's just like a fence or something, or just
It's the black metal. Like there's a word
the
for it.
spear.
The black
I
metal
don't know.
fence where every fence post is a spear.
For some reason.
Yeah, it's in New England and regular England. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, that's a great point. That he fucked up his hand on that thing, and then now these other men are have that same thing. The scene where one of the Rory Kinnears is trying to choke her to death, and he has his split up gross hand around her throat.
Yeah, it's gross.
That is, I don't know what it means clearly because I just found out 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
but that was a great creepy effect.
Yeah, it was creepy.
That was an incredible creepy effect of like that looked good. That definitely made me feel weird and bad. That was awesome. So that was really good. But yeah, then after that, she escapes that situation, and after that, each of these men start like they fall down, their stomachs start expanding, and then they birth another version of that same man out of their.
And
I wrote the word mussy.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. I mean, it's grosser than that. Somehow, it's grosser than that word. Like what's happening on screen.
It's disgusting. But that's
it's almost like backwards human centipede. Like there's birth, and then the man is giving birth, and then that man is giving birth, and each time it's more grotesque and weird and strange, right?
But at that point, here's the thing about that is that's the point where the film stopped being. I felt all the tension in the film was gone at that point.
Okay.
The idea of like, is she gonna die? Is she gonna get attacked? That is somebody gonna jump out and kill her?
Yeah.
That tension was gone. Now it's just weird, which is fine.
Very weird.
It's good, but all the tension was resolved well before the end of the film. So I don't know if this scene did what it was supposed to do because
I don't know what it means.
I took my sigh of relief.
Yeah.
When the first man gave birth.
Sure.
Out of his asshole or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Mussy. Man pussy. That was a sigh of relief because then it was slow. These guys keep falling down. He's giving birth to another creep. He walks for 2 feet. He falls down and gives birth again. Yeah. It happens 3 times, which is too many.
4 times. It happens 4 times.
I think it's 4 guys giving birth to. I think it's
because the 4th one is James.
Right. The 4th one. The 4th. Yeah, that's true. The 4th birth was James again, her husband, her deceased husband, and now she's having another conversation with him about nothing. It's not even like an impactful conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he's still kind of blaming her. Basically, she's still being blamed after everything for being a woman. Pretty much is what I was gathering the gist of it. Okay. And then she's still like, "Go fuck yourself." Like she's still being, "This is not my fault." Like kind of taking that stance. I feel like. Yeah. Oh no, because he said, "I want your love. I'm doing this because I want your love." Right. Or something to that degree, which is just kind of fucked up and weird and strange and like.
Yeah, that's it. I would
being crazy.
I would have liked maybe a little more backstory on what her marital problems with James were.
Yeah.
Just to not because I don't believe her, but just because I would have liked to have seen like what was the problem. Obviously,
Sure.
Obviously,
Well,
once
he's insane.
well, yeah, once you're breaking up and he's threatening to kill himself and then he hits you, that's obviously you're so far gone at that point.
Yeah.
I don't. She's right to leave him, and she's right to not blame herself for him killing himself. Obviously.
It still doesn't. Even
But
after
I
the
wouldn't
world is
mind seeing
completed.
like, because we just see the first fight we see is she's going, I'm tired of
want a
this,
divorce.
I want the divorce, and he's like, I know you keep saying that, but let's not do that. But I wouldn't mind a little bit of like, you know what, the same thing I said in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
I want more of the actual, before it turns into a creepy space adventure. I want the real life.
Sure.
I don't, a story about a man and a woman.
Why do we not like this guy? Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the problem?
what led to that? I kind of want to know.
Sure.
Not that it detracts from how shitty this woman's weekend is, but I would have liked to know that. But anyway, there was no more surprises or chaos or like nothing was fast once the bad guy started giving birth. Anyway, so then the last thing we see is her friend finally arrives.
Mm-hmm. Sees the wreckage and the chaos.
Yeah, and that's
which kind of solidifies. Oh, this all happened.
Well, exactly. That's what's curious about it.
Yeah.
Because the friend shows up and sees the blood, and we're like, what actually happened? Who all got killed? Because there's no way. I mean, yeah, it's so funny. I'm about to not believe this woman. There's no way 3 dudes gave consecutive birth to each other and then your husband showed up. That would
be hard to convince your friend.
Who's actually dead? Whose blood is this really? Because it's definitely not James's. It's definitely not the birth male son of man Jeffrey. Like, it's none of that. So who's actually dead? Maybe she went crazy and ran over Jeffrey in his car and dragged him inside and cut him up.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Okay, well, I thought the proof of her friend showing up and seeing the wreckage to me was like, oh, this wasn't a psychotic episode. Maybe this happened, and I don't know how that is solidified in reality.
Yeah,
in our reality.
Right.
But we're not given any answers, and I don't like that so much.
Well, yeah, I would like to know. It's a little too,
because then that just means like, oh, this was a scary movie. This was just a jumper at the end. Because before the final act, I was like very intrigued. I'm like, where is this going? What does this mean? And then it was just like, oh, it's just insane at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't love the final act.
Yeah.
I did like, the naked homeless guy at some point. He shows up and he's wearing like a weird crown of like leaves and branches, which True Detective season 1 vibes.
Yeah.
So that was a cool visual, I guess. But yeah, I didn't know. I don't 100% know what, like, at the end of the movie, what message they're trying to get. Obviously, the message of all men are the same and men don't take the concerns of women seriously. Obviously, those came across.
Yeah,
but
pretty clear.
At the ending, I don't know what we're supposed to hear. Because part of me thinks it's like, well, maybe none of this happened and her friend is walking into like a bloodbath that our main character performed.
Sure.
And
I mean, it doesn't not say that.
That's bad. I
mean,
not to
put the blame. That would be weird of Alex, the director, to put the blame on the woman at the end and be like, she's just crazy.
Are we thinking that because weird sex is like, right. Why is there all these dead bodies all around that clearly don't have the same face? And it's just like, oh, because this woman went nuts on her fucking vacation and killed a bunch of people.
There was a theory,
like Amanda Knox.
There was a theory that I'd
Amanda
heard,
Knox is innocent.
Like, a theme that could have been applied to this movie, and we could.
Yeah.
Do we need to?
Well, we're not going to find out because we have less than a minute before Zoom cuts us off. So, Jimmy, give me your plugs.
Sleepy Cowboy TX at Bad Thrillers TX and at Danger Junior PR for comedy and music shit.
All of those on Instagram. I'm Nick Tazzo at Nick Tazzo Drums. Thank you so much. This is another episode of Let's Get Trashed. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, send all the shit everywhere, please. Thank you very much. I love all you guys. Thank you, Jimmy. I love you very much for helping me out with all these shows, man. I appreciate it.
Having a good time.
Thanks, man.